When did you move out of Orimattila? Could you describe us what's the overall feeling of living in a Finnish small town?
I lived in Orimattila since I was 1, and I lived there 20 years, so I moved away at 21 to study photography. And living in a Finnish small town can be really conflicting because you have this small community where everyone knows each other on some level, but then it can also become really introverted, so it has its good sides and bad sides, but you can easily become an outsider if you do something that's out of the ordinary or out of the norm. For example, if you make art, that is somehow a really weird thing.
How do you usually start your work process? What motivates you? Are you more driven by an idea or practical experimentation?
I have many processes on all the time. It's usually difficult to pinpoint the exact start for a process. I think everything around me motivates me. Like all the big discussions or topics that are relevant right now. Maybe it's more about the way I react personally to those things around me. And I think sometimes in order to handle everything, you need to focus on smaller things that feel kind of insignificant. So all these bigger things stay in the background, but I just examine them through my own personal scope. I think I'm more driven by ideas, and usually the experimentation comes after.
Coming from a neighboring country, I saw a lot of similarities in the scenery of your video clips. In your text, you mentioned that you chose locations that are not too personal for you. Did these locations teach you something new about your hometown or your heritage?
Well, it definitely made me realize how big Orimattila is and how many places I've never been to, or that I don't know nothing about. Some of the places I've passed by, and it taught me that there are a lot of places, a lot of farms and workshops and places like this, even really close to my parents' house and the area where I grew up. It somehow showed me how detached I am from Orimattila, how much I don't belong there. A lot of the feedback that I've gotten from people about the landscapes is that they all somehow relate to the landscapes, even if they grew up in totally different places in Finland. So I think it's kind of like a look into the national landscape of Finland, but in a really unromantic way, because it's really dull and gray and flat. But I think these are the landscapes that we all have in our lives in Finland, and that are somehow important to us that way.
You have previously shown this project at the post-gallery exhibition held in an abandoned dairy plant in Lahti, Finland. What are the main differences in showing this work then and now?
Main difference is the mood and the space it creates, because I made it originally to fill up a big space where you could just sit and get immersed by the work, because it was a big projection in quite a big room, and the sound filled the whole room, and it was also a loop, so it had no end or beginning, so you could just sit in and watch as long as you wanted. I think one of the biggest differences is this passive interactive thing, because now you have to look at the map, pick a place, then watch it, and you go back and forth between the map and the video. And in the original installation, you just had to sit and watch, and also listen. I think the sound is a bit less important now, although it's like the main theme in the work, I guess.
What are you currently working on? What is next to come?
Well, at the moment, my main focus is on making an exhibition for the spring. I made this work that centers around the concept of the black sun, which is what psychoanalyst Julia Kristeva compares depression or melancholia with. I examined my own melancholia that has somehow always been a part of me. So that is like the main work, and I'm also making another like more performative exhibition for the summer, but it's still in the really early stages, so we'll see what comes of that.